I just have to tell you, Sharon, I am blown away by the organization here at Emerson. I've spent 3 decades in higher ed. I've been to many, many, many different colleges and universities. I've never met such a crackerjack team of deft, smart, amicable, accommodating, just warm-hearted individuals and who work so beautifully together as a team. I'm really blown away.
Yeah,
And
it's been incredible. We could not have done, literally could not have done it without them.
in particular, I want to shout out to Paul.
Yeah.
Paul, thank you.
He's had many sleepless nights putting together the presentations, making sure they flow. No pressure, because now if it messes up, I know. I've been in live events before. I also wanted to talk about, you're seeing lots of different ideas that we pretty randomly broke down into these 3 categories, but most of them bridge all of them.
Yes.
So it was really
Yes.
done based on who we thought the judges would be best to hear. But it's the only prerequisite for these students was that they come up with an innovative idea for a real human problem, a problem that we're facing today. And so that's why we're seeing such an incredible selection of ideas. But also it was open to all undergrads.
Yes,
And
important to say.
And we don't even know which ones of you are freshmen and seniors.
Well, we do, but
I forget.
well, I do too.
Like, we hear the ideas, it's like, how could you be a freshman?
I know.
With like this kind of maturity? No pressure, Emma, now that you're going next. And speaking of Emma, well, first I'd like to announce our new set of judges that just joining us for this new tranche for what we're calling our arts section. First, we have Michael Ian Kay, who is Chief Design Officer and Principal at Sylvan. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Hey, guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Michael drives bold ideas and meticulous craft. He provides clear direction, ambitious vision, and the cultural insight that drives teams and processes. He's worked with brands across categories, including Target, Microsoft, a few small brands you might have heard of, Marriott, Stella Artois, Diageo's, Oscar, IBM, Wired, Calvin Klein, IMG New York, Fashion Week, and American Express. Michael specializes in culturally insightful strategies, dynamic marketing platforms, and innovative creative executions that ground brands in culture and move them forward. And if you're familiar with Me Talk Pretty One Day or Tipping Point book covers, that's Michael. That's Michael's work.
I have all of Michael's book covers.
Next, we have Luann Reeb, friend and mentor to me. Luann is the Assistant Dean in the School of the Arts and Director for the Entrepreneurial Studies and Business Studies programs. For those of you that have asked where we go from here after we go through this class, we go to Luann, or we go to BCE, or we go to Sanjay. There are many places at Emerson you can go to further your creations. She's been teaching at Emerson since 2009, has led curriculum development for the BCE major and the new BCE graduate program. 3-time entrepreneur herself, launched companies in the online media space. And prior to that, Luann was a broadcast journalist who held positions as executive director at WBZ TV in Boston, as well as news director. So she can handle just about anything. And next we have I'm going to say our dear friend, Bhamathi Viswanathan, who has been with us more probably than any other outside person in this class, sharing her knowledge of law, copyrights, trademarks, IP, all the things that we need to know to launch a new venture.
And we still need more Bhamathi.
Yeah. So as soon as you can come back. So Bhamathi teaches, advises, and writes about the intersection of creative economies, arts and culture, and copyright law. Bhamathi is an affiliate faculty in the Business of Creative Enterprise program. She teaches courses on intellectual property law and creativity, business fundamentals, creative economy, creative collaboration, and leadership and cultural appropriation. Welcome, Bhamathi.
Welcome.
And last but not least, we have the director of Emerson Launch, Sanjay Poten. Hi.
Hi, Sanjay.
Hello.
He is an advisor to entrepreneurs and CEOs on finance, marketing, and operational issues. Has had a few tours of duty, and really, we can call them tours of duty. We know, as we worked in startups before, as entrepreneur and founder, CEO of leading startups from pre-product with no customers to revenue growth, 0 to 25 million, and exit. And so we welcome Sanjay. Thank you so much for joining us, judges.
Thank you.
And now I'm so pleased to introduce Emma Vignola. And this is an easy one for me, actually, and her beautiful earrings.
Have you ever looked in the mirror and let your body image define you? Well, I certainly have, and that's why 1,500 calories a day became 500. My hair started falling out, and the thigh gap that I had always dreamed of suddenly became my worst nightmare. In my freshman year of college, I was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa, and like it or not, this illness began to define me. That is until one day when I was working at Trader Joe's and a group of young girls came up to me. They were regular customers, and they said, "You're the earring girl, the girl who always wears the weird earrings." And at that moment, something stuck out to me. They didn't know me for my illness. They knew me by something that I chose to wear, by my fashion style. And so in that moment, I made the conscious decision that going through my recovery process, I wouldn't refer to myself as a sick girl, but as the earring girl. And I lived by this. As COVID began, I started designing my own earrings based on pop culture art, and I made them out of recycled materials, also known as literally anything I could find around my house. And so from that moment on, I gained confidence, posted them on Instagram, and within a matter of weeks, an influencer reached out to me, posted my earrings on her social media, and suddenly I was shipping orders all across the world. At this moment, boys and girls alike began reaching out to me and thanking me for creating something that made them feel confident and made them feel seen. And so that's my mission. I want to create unique earrings that make people feel confident. I want to give them a way to distinctly identify themselves in a way that they create, rather than go by an identity that's thrust upon them. I also would like to take some of the proceeds and give them back to the Eating Disorder Coalition. This is a coalition which focuses to bring education to young girls surrounding eating disorders, as well as putting money toward treatment for people who are suffering. And so, how are we going to do this? I'm Emma Vignola, and today I bring you Iridescence. Iridescence is all about promoting confidence through earrings. I know it sounds a little bit out of this box, but I think that's the whole point, to remind people that they can step out of the box and identify themselves however they want. Now, what's our history and what does our future look like? I briefed you a little bit. The idea came to me really in the beginning of COVID, and this is when I started designing the earrings. COVID was a time when eating disorders festered as a result of the isolation, and the only thought being, I'm surrounded by food. And so then that led me to come up with the idea and post them on Instagram, leading to my official first launch, which was in June of 2020. And from that moment on, it was an expansion, and it was a great journey. So I have since sold about 2,600 pairs and have maintained a 5-star review. On top of that, sales did start to increase, which meant that I started gaining more recognition from local influencers, and eventually I started getting recognized by some relevant people. At first, it was people from Orange is the New Black, and eventually I gained the attention of the head of fashion and beauty at YouTube. And while this was great for a while, the sales did start to decrease over time. And eventually I decided that now today I would change my mission. And that's why we're here today. So this is going to lead me into my new relaunch, which will occur in February 2023 on the last week, as this is the Eating Disorder Awareness Week. And so my new launch will occur at the New York convention called Coterie, and this is a convention which brings together women who are designers of apparel and accessories, and it allows people to create a community. And after this, I will take the revenue that I earn from this initial launch and hope to go into more pop-ups and local shops. I am featured in a few local shops and have been a part of a few pop-ups thus far, but I would like to expand this and go into even more and eventually go international, which will lead us to a steady growth, which will occur all throughout 2023 and so forth. So what's the business model? Quite simple. Business to consumer, or me to you. So we're selling on a few different, or through a few different mediums. The first will be e-commerce. I am quite experienced with e-commerce, as this is something that I have been using thus far. And the price point's about $50 for a pair and $60 for customs. By customs, what I mean is the consumer will get to work directly with me or one of our designers to come up with a design that's completely unique to them. I've worked with a few up-and-coming musicians and filmmakers who have sent me their cover art, and we've made earrings out of that. It could be pictures of yourself. It could be quite literally anything that you want to use to identify yourself. And we're able to do this e-commerce internationally, as the shipping is actually something that the consumer will be paying for. But in a sense of compensation, I do offer bundle deals, which means if you're buying 2 or more pairs, you will get 10% off your entire order. And this is versus the in-store and pop-ups. So you're also going to be paying about $50 for originals in this space. So with each pair comes an art journal. When I was struggling creating these earrings, and this art was my therapeutic way of dealing with my situation, and I want to give that back to people. Now, this QR code that comes with each pair will link you to an online daily art journal, which will have prompts with things as simple as just draw something on a napkin. It's not intended for people who are already coming into this as artists. I wasn't an artist, or I wouldn't have identified myself as that to begin with, so I want to give this back to people and allow people to express themselves in a way that they might not have otherwise. So what will we need as a startup? I'm looking for about $12,000 as a startup fee. I'm going to be bootstrapping from the last company that I had, so this will be the money that I will be crowdsourcing from other people, and this will basically go toward things like marketing and additional labor, better materials, and eventually I'd like to have other illustrators join me in this process so that we're seeing a multitude of artists' voices in these earrings. That is the entire goal. And for marketing, I'd like to reach out to influencers who specifically align with my mission, as opposed to just influencers who could be anyone. And so with that, I want to give a voice back to the beautiful people who have supported me thus far in the community that I've created of my customers. Yeah, it was embedded with an updated version. All right, that's it for my pitch. Thank you so much.
You'll see it in a minute. Thank you so much. And let's not forget the beautiful keychains also that you're adding to the line. These
Yes.
It's hard to see, but they are specific to innovation for impact.
Is it hard to see that?
Yeah. You and me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Emma.
Thank you so much. By the
Thank
time we
you.
finish with the comments, we'll show the video.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Michael, I would love to start with you.
Hi, I've unmuted now. Super strong idea. And I mean, the things that I think about, obviously you've proven kind of viability or kind of a demand based on, I think kind of, I mean, and that's I guess a question, is the demand based on the cause, or is the demand based on the product, right? So how do you kind of leverage, I think, the product and what you do as a creator, and in some ways that I guess it's my first time critiquing one of these, so let me just think, and lots in my head. But I was like, oh, I get a design for 50, but I get a custom design for 60, and in some ways I feel like there's a sense that you're devaluing kind of yourself as a creator, and I'm curious as to how to push those things farther apart in some regards, kind of original thing being even of more value. I'm also interested, as I was saying, in this notion of kind of, does the product drive the cause, or does the cause drive the product? So when you talk about your cause, which I know is super deep and connects to many, many people, I think about brands like Toms. I think about brands, the eyewear people, whereby it's really the design of the product that creates desire, and then the cause that creates affinity, and kind of understanding the relationship of those two things. And as you're marketing, kind of what is your first level message, what is your second level message, and what is your third level message. I think that the product themselves have, I mean, it's like you've gone from earrings to keychains. I think that there's lots of opportunity for product expansion. And I also want you to keep in mind kind of this sense that the origin, or kind of the origin story of self-confidence and what makes you different, and how are these things accessories to do that. And the farther you go away from apparel per se, does that become farther away from the sense of self-expression and the thing that gives one confidence. And I'm not saying that one is right or wrong, they're just the things that I think about relative to truly understanding what is your product. Is the earring your product, or is self-confidence your product? And that's, I guess, in essence, kind of my big summation is kind of, how do we, stand behind either one or both of these things, and in what order, and then where is there opportunity for expansion within that. But I think that there's a lot of value. That's kind of my point of view.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Bhamathi.
I just want to take a second to thank you, Sharon and Tim, for having me so generously and graciously. It was really nice to talk to your students, some of whom I'm just going to say are my students. Very proud of them. And Emma, that was fabulous. Really, really moving. And I think that Michael brought up a lot of important things, but I want to sort of pounce on that origin story. It's a super powerful story. And the fact that the earrings made you see yourself differently is the best thing that fashion can be and art can be, right? It can be something that leads you to a different conception, not only of the world, but of yourself. And you lead with that story. And I think your earrings, I can't see them all that well from the screen. I bet they're gorgeous. I drop $50 on a pair without even worrying about it in a heartbeat. And I probably will if you send me a link, right? But the point is that you're speaking to a sub-community within the community of your incredible fans and supporters and consumers. And that sub-community needs to hear the power of your voice so badly. It's a very difficult disease, anorexia, I know, and it's a very hard one to break through to people. And somebody who can say, I've been there, I've lived this, let me show you how it worked for me, and maybe that'll work for you, is a great story. I personally would say lean into that. Really lean into that. So I love the idea of the journal. In my cultural appropriation class last semester, I had my students journal privately, online, of course, that's what you guys always do, right? But then I said, if you want to, you can share with me and we can have a conversation. I would love to see that journal that you set up become also a tool for sort of reaching out of yourself for the person who's buying from you, if they want to. So maybe what you want to do, I love the fact that you're taking some of your proceeds, you're making a for-profit venture, but you're also supporting something you believe deeply in. I love the nexus of those two things. Lean into that is my suggestion and advice, because I think it's powerful. And think about how you can build out that component of supporting the community that you feel you can serve. So your jewelry serves both a purpose and a profit. And that you bring those two things together is not easy. It sounds like it is, but it's a great accomplishment. So like with everyone, I'm really proud of you, but you especially, great job. Really well done.
Thank you. And I want to just say for Bhamathi, we keep talking about your startups that you're creating, but in essence, this is our startup, right? Putting this idea together, this class. And whenever you're doing something for the first time, you know how hard it is to get people on board. It was thanks to Bhamathi recruiting her students for this class and pushing it that we have so many of these amazing students here today. So if you ever need a recruiter, Bhamathi is your woman.
And she's a professor of great discretion and discernment.
Yeah, she's awesome.
I'm very disappointed that you didn't shout out the Sharon. the bear. You didn't shout out the bear.
Oh, you know,
I brought out my bear.
Timothy, I wanted to ask about the bear when we were introducing you. Tell us.
No, I brought him out to make Sharon's bear feel less lonely. I was like, what's up with this?
You're awesome.
The bear lurks.
So can we see Emma's video?
Yeah, the video's ready to go.
And you know, Emma, I think it's so beautifully placed at the end. It's where it should be.
Thank you. Yeah, when it didn't play, I was like, of course it did not play. That was.
But it was so powerful even without it, and now they'll see the intended ending.
What does this say that you have made this impact without even having the video? What does it say? Everything.
Oh, that's me.
I am an actor.
I am a performer.
I am a book lover.
I am a product manager.
I am an artist.
I am more.
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 Amazing.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very inspiring.